Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are and what time of day it is. Welcome to Pivot with Compassion Circles. I'm Nancy Johnston, and I will be your leader today. And I'm joined by Laurel Donnellan, the founder and CEO of Leader Circle, and also Lizzie Pereira. And you're going to be in for a big treat with a little bit of a yoga exercise today. So welcome. We're here today on behalf of this Compassionate Leader Circle organization, which has a vision. And I want to talk a little bit about what that's all about, and then we'll get into our agenda for today. So I want to say that we're basically here because we're looking to build a more compassionate world, and boy, can we need that right now. I think the level of emotion that we're all feeling right now is certainly heightened, and we see a compassionate world where we're all valued and celebrated for our humanity. We're seeing a lot of that. Our dreams, our differences, and our ingenuity. We've got to figure out ways to make our way through all of these challenges, let's say, that we're facing. And so we're hoping that you're here today for an hour with us, and we hope to give you a bit of a shift in your emotional state to the positive, maybe a little more centered by the end of the hour, and a little bit more connected, because that's what we're here to do, is build some connections with all of us. So I want to talk a little bit about the purpose of the organization and the circles themselves. And so what we are here to do, as I said, is we're looking to connect and to connect community. And so all of you who are here on the call or are listening in, are part of this circle with us, and we're dedicated to healing, which we need to amplify our compassion, to clarify our purpose, transforming lives and making a positive impact on the planet. And we are all in this together, all around the world. So welcome to our circle, especially tonight's circle. Before we get into it, I'm just going to give a little bit of background about myself, and I'm going to let Laurel and Lizzie introduce themselves so you know who we are. Again, my name's Nancy Johnston, and my day job is working at Columbia Business School, where I work with alumni to help them in their career advancement, their career process, and right now there's a lot of career search. So I'm here to stay calm myself so that I can help others stay calm. And I'd love to have Laurel introduce herself and the organization that she's created here.
Well, it's my honor to be with both of you, my dear friends and colleagues. I'm Laurel Donnellan, as Nancy said, and I'm in Sag Harbor, New York. And we do three things at Compassionate Leader Circle. We help people transition into work that they love. We help leaders be more compassionate and help everyone understand they are a leader. And we also train coaches in our style of coaching, compassionate coaching.
Thank you. Lizzie.
Yes, hi. I'm coming from Los Angeles, and I'm a coach at Compassionate Leader Circle. I'm also a yoga teacher and holistic chef and wellness writer based here in LA. So playing many hats in the holistic wellness space here today.
Talk about integration. I love it. Thanks, Lizzie. So as we start today, I want you to think about a word that feels important to you today, how you're coming into this circle with us. It's really just your state of mind, your state of heart right now, and it allows us to work with where we are right now so that we can figure out a way to transform us to another state that might be a little bit more open, a little bit more compassionate. So I'll start, and I'll say that my word coming into this evening is focus. I found that after a lovely weekend, even though I was in the house most of the time, I really felt focused today, and that made all the difference in making me feel much more compassionate towards my coworkers, really supportive of the clients that I was working with, and the most important thing at the moment was that I also had a lot of self-compassion, which I don't always have. So that focus really helped me to be more connected to everybody I was with today. Anyone else want to share?
My word is breath. I'm just trying to create more space and breath in my days. I've been working hard and long hours and jamming too many things in. But I could have used the word focus this weekend because I actually had a little fender bender because I wasn't focused. I was at the beach and backed into a giant car with my tiny little car. The giant car was not damaged, but I got some paint chipped off mine. Could have been worse, but I like the word focus too. I'll take both. Breath, focus.
You can have both. That's good.
Mine is, hold on, sorry, my phone's really loud. Mine is surrender.
Surrender to the fact that things keep happening, you know, the phone's ringing.
Your door going off in the middle of the day.
Go ahead, Lizzie, say something.
But yeah, saying surrender, just surrendering to this whole, situation and environment that we find ourselves in, where sometimes we have to just completely just let go, and just realize that some of the things aren't in our control. And as much as we try to control it, and I don't know, so much feels like it's in flux for everyone, whether that be like in, our situations with our jobs and whatnot, or just, your day-to-day life seems like it's in a bit of flux. And I think for me today, the word is just like letting it be as it is, not good, not bad, just is what it is, and just having to show up for it anyways.
Yes, I love that. Thank you, Lizzie.
Thank you.
So our agenda for today, we're going to talk a little bit about compassion. You hear that word thrown about a lot, but we'll talk a little bit more deeply about it. And then we're going to do a contemplative practice led by Lizzie to do some yoga, which will really be helpful. At this point in the day, I really always need to stop and breathe. We're going to do a review of what the Donnellan method and exercises are all about, point out some resources for you, do a focused Q&A, but please drop in questions at any time. Then we're going to talk a little bit about daily commitments. We're going to ask you to commit to something for the next day. And then we're going to do 3 breaths and a closing circle, and we'll move on from there. So we're going to talk about compassion. There's been a lot of studies about compassion and how it can help us to really work more effectively with others, and how we can help ourselves. It's an antidote for fear, and there's a lot of fear today. There's a lot of unknowns, and so to be compassionate in that sense of we don't know what's happening, but it's okay. We have to just go with and surrender to what's happening with us and protect ourselves. But let's do it with compassion, and it's very good for our immune system to do that, which we all need as well. And so there's kind of this path of self-compassion to compassion for others. And the way to get from one to the other is to also be able to show some vulnerability. It tends to work that if we dial one up a little bit, we may have to dial back on something else. It's really hard to show or really let someone feel that compassion you might feel for them unless you show a little bit of your own vulnerability. So the approach that we do for bringing these programs together is to really help you focus on compassion for yourself, opening to others, and then having that sense of compassion for them to help them recognize where they are and to move forward in a way that they want to. The coaching program that we put together is very personal, for personal development as well as for professional development, but it really helps you do that authentically and lead from your center. So with that in mind, thinking about being compassionate for yourself, it's great to take a little bit of time here to center yourself. And we're going to go ahead and let Lizzie lead us in about a 10-minute practice, I think.
About 10 minutes is good.
Great.
Right.
Whoops.
So let's start. I'm sure that most of us are seated, so just sit up nice and tall. Just start by sitting on the floor, or maybe you're sitting at a chair or even on a couch. But either way, wherever you're landing, just come to find a comfortable yet pretty straight seat. And then just close your eyes and just start to tune in. And before we come into any sort of movement, just taking a moment of inventory and just noticing what's been coming up the last 24, 48 hours or so. Maybe just noticing how we felt without judgment or criticism, without needing to have any answers or really figure anything out. Just noticing what it's been like. Maybe in the physical body, noticing if you've experienced tension or if you're feeling tightness from being constricted to your home. Maybe your work from home situation isn't as ideal. Noticing the quality of your thoughts. Are they compassionate towards yourself, others? If you felt judgmental. And again, no judgment towards yourself in this moment, but just noticing where you've been. Now take a nice big breath in together. Inhale, just fill your body up completely with breath. Fill yourself up. Hold to the top. Sip in a little bit more air and just hold this new breath, new life in the body. Hold, hold, hold. And then exhale, just sigh it out. Everything down. And just allow yourself to return to just a place of acceptance, of equilibrium, simply letting yourself arrive as you are, being here as you are. Really just feel your sit bones rooting into your chair or in the ground, rooting you into the earth, almost as if there's a cord coming from the center of your body that reaches down all the way through the floor, to the concrete, the foundation of your home or apartment, reaching its way all the way down into the core of the earth, just rooting and grounding yourself. And start to just deepen your breath a little bit. Cultivate a belly breath. So as we inhale, we're filling up the belly like you're filling up a balloon. And start from the lower half of the pelvis and work your way up. And then as you exhale, gently bring the navel towards the back of the spine. Set all the air out. Really fully exhale, empty. And just take another 10 seconds or so like this, just to really let yourself arrive in your physical body and state. Embracing this full breath. Take a nice deep breath and really fill yourself up. And then just exhale, sigh it out. And then just drop your right ear to your right shoulder. And then just walk your left hand out. So just having out at parallel, reaching through your fingertips. Like that. And then take your right hand, bring it up and over on top of your left ear, just for a little gentle stretch. So right ear to the right shoulder, reach through your left fingertips. And just side of the neck. If you do one side, it's all good. We're going to do the other one. So just do whatever side you're on. Maybe you keep the eyes closed and just take a deep breath. I'm not really pulling down with this right hand on top of the ears, just a little bit of that. Take one more deep breath in. And then as you exhale, release your right hand and just slowly roll to the left side. Reach through those right fingertips, left ear to the left shoulder, and take your left arm up overhead onto the ear. Gentle little side stretch. Take one more inhale. And as you exhale, release. Just release your arms down by your side and just take a couple of little rolls into the mat. Very gentle, moving nice and slow. If you feel any sticky spots in your mat, you're welcome to stop. And switching directions if you haven't done so already. Okay, make your way back through center, level out your chin, and then on your next inhale, reach your arms up to the sky and interlace your hands. Press the palms up towards the ceiling. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Good. Chest nice and lifted, shoulders down the back of the spine. Press up through your palms, but still feel yourself rooted through your sit bone. Maybe even closing the eyes here, just a full body stretch. You can even rock from side to side, looking up through one shoulder and then the other, almost like a little micro kind of side stretch here. And finding someone's press up through the palms, take a deep breath in. Long breath out. Inhale. One more deep breath in. And then exhale, release your arms, cactus the arms, shoulders come down the back, let the flat open up the top. Good, inhale, to lift your arms up nice and slow, let your breath guide your movement. Exhale, cactus, shoulders touch behind you, feel the heart lift. One more time, deep breath, arms come up. Exhale, cactus, heartbeat. Inhale, arms come back up. And as you exhale, drop your right hand down. You can either be onto the chair or onto your floor. Just reach a little side stretch. Reach up through your left fingertips. Open your chest up towards the ceiling. Notice if you start to drop your breath down, look up. Inhale, brings you back to center. Exhale, drop the left, reach to your right. Open the chest. Breathing through your right fingertips. Really feel your stretch from the fingers all the way down to your sit bone. Good, one more on each side. Inhale up. Exhale, drop your right. Inhale back up to center. Exhale, drop the left. Inhale up one more time. And then exhale, take a twist. So bring your right hand behind you, either at your seat or behind you on the floor. Your left hand can be outside of your right thigh. Your right. Even just on the arm of the chair. So over your right shoulder. Nice and lengthen through the crown. We're sitting up nice and tall. You're not dumping your weight back. Take a nice slow inhale. And then as you exhale, just twist a little bit deeper as the navel comes toward the back of the spine. Really slowly exhale one. Inhale, arms come back up to the sky. Exhale, twist the opposite side. So right hand outside of your left thigh. Behind you on the floor, behind the chair. Deep breath in. Exhale, twist a little bit deeper into it. Inhale, back up. Arms come back up to the sky. Good, and then as you exhale, just slowly, like you're moving through honey, release your fingertips all the way back down. Really take your time. One last thing, take your hands into fist and just gently start to pat on the right side of your chest. Just a little bit of tapping, going up into the shoulder. Just be careful around the neck, coming down and towards the clavicle, just patting everything out. And come over to the left side, maybe switch hands if you need to. Just tapping out. Got a lot of stuff stuck in the body, especially up in the chest. So just letting it go. Maybe you've been feeling some tightness around the heart, a little tension around the heart. So just patting down the chest. Maybe one hand or both, whatever feels good. You can come down to the tops of the arms, the shoulders. Good. 15 more seconds here. And then release your arms down and just close your eyes. Just noticing the energy that you experience from doing that. Just noticing the release that you might experience in your chest. And then on your next inhale, bring your shoulders all the way up to your ears. Really shrug them up nice and high. Next one, just release your shoulders down, side up and up. Two more. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, release it down. One more. In. And then just bringing your hands to your heart, just feeling your practice, pressing your thumbs into your sternum. Let's just take one more final breath, but this time we're just going to send it out. We'll send it out to the rest of the day. We practice compassion towards ourselves, but we also practice practice compassion towards others. So taking this one final breath, just send it out to the rest of the world, whoever needs it, whoever needs this loving breath. Take a deep breath in, inhale. Hold it at the top. Slip it a little bit more in. And exhale. Send it outside. Namaste. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. So hope you feel a little bit more in the breath and the body.
So much more.
Beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you. What a lovely treat.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Yes, Laurel wanted those breaths today, and she could use it. So this is great. Thank you. Okay. So starting from there, let me move on to just tell you a little bit more about the Donnellan method overall. And at a high level, we really like to think about, as you're making a pivot to any time and you're looking at a transition in your life or dealing with a change, we want to stop for a moment and think about our past, and connect to the past, have courage where you've experienced courage, where you've demonstrated it, have faith in yourself and your soul, be aware of what's happened in the past, but also kind of challenge what you thought might have been the truth and what might really be the truth. And then let's be yourself. So you want to have balance, pay attention to your health and your well-being, as well as all the relationships in your world. Last night we talked about abundance and authenticity, and that was a really terrific session talking about, again, taking away some of those limiting beliefs that keep us from feeling a sense of abundance, whether it's financial or love or work or relationships or whatever it might be. But tonight we're going to talk about the future and being your best. We're going to talk tonight about creativity and integrity. And, you know, that's one of my favorite things to talk about. So I'm really glad to be able to be leading this today. Creativity. So a lot of times the idea comes to mind, oh, I'm not very creative. I'm not at all creative. You know, I can't sew, I can't cook, I can't do any of these things. In fact, that was me. I had a lot of people in my life that were incredibly creative and could paint and could sew and could create something out of nothing. And this weekend, I was so proud of myself, I made a mask so that I could go outside and not get arrested and not catch COVID. So I did it, and you know, it was actually pretty good. And you know, it took a little bit of effort. It took a little bit of thinking on the other side of my brain that I'm not used to thinking about, but I just played with it. So what I want to have people think about tonight is thinking about when you can play with possibilities for how you can be creative in these coming days and weeks. A lot of people are dealing with a lot of anxiety, but let's think about this situation we're in, and let's think about how we have found ways to be creative, whether it's how to be creative with your kids in the same room with you while you're trying to work and be on a conference call. Let's think about creativity, about how you're going to get dressed in the morning so that you look good from the shoulders up, but you're still comfortable. So let's play with those possibilities a little bit. I'm going to ask those of you on the call to think about creating something very unique for yourself. Let's pretend that you could create in your home the workplace that you want to be in. So think about how that would look and how that would feel. And then you don't think about the limitations of, well, I've only got a 2-foot desk or whatever it might be, but think about those possibilities of what you could create in your own workspace to really make something that's going to leverage your creativity and help you to be inspired to do good work from the comfort of your bedroom or your kitchen or wherever you might be. So does anybody have any comments on that? That's one of the things I'd like you to think about a little bit.
No comments from the group, but I bet Lizzie and I could share some things with you.
Okay, that would be great. How have you created a workspace that you can work from creatively, Laurel?
Well, normally I work in my dining room, but because my roommate is home sometimes now because he isn't working as much as he used to. I now have Studio A and Studio B. So I have my workplace when I'm alone in the dining room, and then I have this little studio set up in my bedroom. So I'm actually in my bedroom right now, but and then I think I was inspired by Lizzie a couple weeks ago. I said I was going to start doing yoga. So I realized that it's easier for me to do yoga when my yoga mat is always out. It's just reminding me. Mm-hmm. And I'm very blessed with this big bathroom. So now my bathroom is my yoga studio. And I actually put my I had yoga classes with my nieces. So my 10-year-old niece and I had yoga on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And my 27-year-old niece, her cousin, joined us on Saturday. So we actually have yoga classes in the bathroom. It's my yoga studio.
I love it. I have not heard that one before.
Well, I realized it's like, where could I have my yoga mat all out all the time? So
that works. That works. How about you, Lizzie? What does your workspace look like?
So my workspace, so I work a lot, I'm basically, my living room is like my new office. It's very challenging for me to work in my bedroom, I find. For some reason, like having to work in the place that I sleep feels like very congested for me. So I usually kind of spread out in the living room. And I've actually had to transform my living room into a yoga studio as well. So I have like one section that I like have moved all the plants in like 20 minutes before a class. I'm like moving paintings, moving the mat, like putting candles so it looks like a mini studio, which has actually been kind of fun. I actually feel like I have my little vibe kind of set up, which has been good. But I will say, like, there's little small things that help me. One being, like, I like to light incense or candles or have, like, scent or something going to help. Also trying to keep my place clean as much as possible, which, you know, of course, for all of us happens some days better than others. But, like, having, like, a less cluttered space always feels good, you know, to be working at. Yeah, honestly, and also I think the showing up and dressing up, of course, like for me, being in yoga pants is the most dressing up that I still do, but like still dressing and like putting on your, you know, washing your face, making sure that you're kind of set for the day, I think like helps tremendously. I feel like on those days that if I skip that, I'm like struggling to get anything done. So just kind of showing up for my living room office.
I appreciate Lizzie. My bedroom is what I do is I break down, whether it's in my dining room or my bedroom, I break down my work area every night and put it all away. I actually, like a week and a half ago, I was so tired. I didn't put away my computer or I have a special light and I have like electronic equipment and I didn't put it away and I realized I couldn't get to sleep. So I had to get up and move everything and turn this back into a bedroom. So I think there's the work vibration is also in the equipment and in the electronics. So moving those away is important.
Yeah, I think that's true. I have this narrow little area that is a kitchen counter / desk / dining room and about a 6-foot 6x3 space in front of it. So I did a yoga class at 12:30 today and I used a different computer to run the class. I pushed my stool out of the way. I turned my work computer the other way so I didn't have to see it. And it turned into my yoga studio and it was terrific, you know. And so it's multi-purpose. And then when it was time for dinner, I put the computer away and put the yoga mat away and sat down with a placemat and made that into my dining room with a little candle. So I feel like I set this tiny little space to be multifunctional and make it, you know, different possibilities, because I think we have to learn a way to work with the space we have. I get a little crazy on Friday afternoons, and I actually go into my bedroom and sit on the radiator cover and work from there for a little while where the sun's coming in, and it feels like I'm in an entirely different apartment. And that's just lovely. So we have to think of ways to be a little bit more creative about that space. So I'd like to have all of you just keep thinking about that, dreaming about how you would play with your space, how you might want to do something differently. Maybe you do something different with a plant, or you move some pictures around to make it look different so you don't feel like you're in the same space every single day. And that'll jog your creativity muscle a little bit, and maybe you'll just be able to be a little bit more productive at work. So let's talk, keep thinking about that. The next thing we want to talk about is integrity. And so I'm one of those people that has shiny object syndrome. So I'm all over the place, and I have this interest and that interest and never focus. So sometimes what you really want to try to do with all that creativity that you stir up is to then claim something to be purposeful about. You can have multiple hats, you can be different people, you can do different kinds of things, but to really coalesce around some kind of a purpose can be useful. So I'd have each one of us think about, maybe even it's, different parts of the day, but what's the purpose? What's the focus for you for that moment in time? So, for example, when I had two different clients today, very different career paths. One was a guy who I've worked with for a long time, and he has recently lost his job. And he was in a certain place, and I knew what he was going to be thinking about the fact that he'd been fired for something that just had gone wrong. And actually, I just needed to be there to listen to him. And in fact, he came up with a really interesting thing to do differently. And so I was talking to him about, how does this align with everything else you wanted to do? Let's put some purpose around this. So it's not just a fleeting impulse to go do this other thing, but how does it fit? And got him thinking about how it really actually made sense at this point in his career. And then interestingly, later in the afternoon, I worked with a woman who is a bit younger than he was, about 15 years younger. And she was also looking for work, but she's had a lot of things that have been popping up for her, a lot of possibilities. And some of them she knew just weren't right at all. But again, wanted to think about, what's the purpose here? What are you trying to accomplish, and how will you really stake your claim on a direction for this next chapter? And it doesn't have to be for the next 20 years. It could be for the next 2 years. But claiming a purpose and sticking to that and having that integrity can be really helpful in keeping us intact. And especially these days when there's so much uncertainty, to have a little bit of integrity in ourselves can help us to be grounded in where we are and where we're going, at least within ourselves. Just like the breathing that Lizzie was doing really helped me today, as an example, center and calm down and know who I am and where I am at this very moment, because that's all I can control. Having that sense of purpose can do that for you as well. So I'd have you stop and write down for yourself a purpose statement. And it doesn't have to be, again, for the rest of your life, but maybe just for tomorrow or the rest of the week. What do you want to focus on in terms of what your purpose will be to get through these next couple of days? Any comments from you, Lizzie or Laurel? Or anybody in the audience?
Well, to build on my breath theme, it seems like I've been running during the week, overscheduling myself to a point where I'm so exhausted on Friday night I can't move. So my purpose this week is to have juice left on Friday afternoon for the weekend, so I'm not just wrung out. So.
Admirable.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, moving with my just notion of just surrendering and letting go, I feel like for me, it's been really a time of, you know, as with everybody, like having to just completely pivot and change things around and change in the way that we do things, and including how we like show up in the world. And I feel like for me, that's been something that was at first like super empowering, but now has reached a point where I'm a little bit just like exhausted and restless by it, and quite frankly, like just getting annoyed. Like, you know, it's just I'm ready for this to be moving forward. I'm ready to, all right, we don't have another month of this. You know, one of those. That's kind of been the feeling that's been starting to take over me the last couple of days. But I think that with that, you know, as a teacher, you know, that I continuously have to show up for my students is just to continuously show up with authenticity and empower others through my ability to just be real with how I'm feeling, because I know that if I'm just, you know, vulnerable and practicing that sense of compassionate towards myself, of being very genuinely honest about, you know, what I'm experiencing and how I feel and how I've had to come back to my breath and the things that are coming up from me, most times I'm realizing that a lot of people are all having the same thing in some way. Like, we're all cut from the same cloth and we're all experiencing this. So yeah, that's kind of my purpose, to just show up authentically.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that can even be in compassion with others, or in concert with others. And so sometimes, like today, my purpose was to be there with my clients, to help them be calm and to help them think through this in a way that wasn't just emotionally driven, like, oh my God, I have to do something, but being able to help them be mindful of their decisions and how they were making those decisions and how they were thinking about things. And so my purpose was more about them than it was about myself, but that meant that I had to be in a pretty strong spot to be able to do that, so that I wasn't just taken by the moment. So it's something that we can actively work on, but I think it can be really very rewarding as we go through this.
Yeah. I appreciate Lizzie's, like, I'm annoyed comment, because I think part of being on purpose, someone once told me, like, integrity is when your feelings, thoughts, and actions are in alignment, right? So if you're acting as, you know, I think sometimes as coaches or teachers, we feel like we have to like act a certain way for our students or our coachees or each other. And I think it's really important, that feelings factor, that we communicate what's real. Like, you know, there's a lot of realness going on right now. And I think being in integrity can also just be, you know, sharing with people as appropriate, like, this was a hard day, or this is annoying, or I'm ready for this to be over now. And for me, it kind of gets me unstuck.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it comes back to that self-compassion and that vulnerability, to be able to share something with somebody else, to get to that level of having a conversation that's truly on the same level, and really being able to share. So this one client that I had talked to him last week too, and I said, you know, there was a time when I had made this really big mistake, and he laughed at me. He's like, "Oh, you made a mistake?" Well, yeah, actually I did make this, you know, just one time. But it really helped, because it helped him to be like, oh, you know, you get over it. And, you know, everybody does. Everybody makes mistakes. So let's just get on with it. So sharing some of those things sometimes can be really helpful, to be a little vulnerable about, yeah, you know, here's some things that I wish I had done differently. So let's go ahead with it. So I want to move on to just a little bit about some of the resources that are available. If you have questions about any of the programming that we're up to, Shamus Pitts is our Director of Compassion, a lovely title, a lovely woman, and write to her, Shamus at CompassionateLeadersCircle.com. And I'm going to let Laurel talk about her latest podcast, because this woman does not really sit still. And so The Buddhist and the Pagan is a fantastic podcast that Laurel just got started a couple of weeks ago. And you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. It's kind of interesting because it came out of a LinkedIn relationship. So my podcast partner's name is Uvini Lubitsky, and she lives in San Francisco. And we found each other because we were both admiring each other's work. She had read an article I wrote about compassion at Forbes, and I had seen a video that she had done at Eileen Fisher. And we were both sort of, for lack of a better word, like stalking each other a little bit, like, oh, I wish I could meet that woman. And we hooked up on LinkedIn, and we just became friends, and we have a lot in common because we both study compassionate leadership and we help people with compassionate leadership. So that friendship turned into a really interesting conversation that has now turned into a podcast, and we've done 4 episodes. We do them about once a week. They're unscripted, unedited, and it's just a conversation about life and compassion, and it's super fun. So you can get those podcasts anywhere that podcasts are broadcast, including our website. There's also articles there on compassionate leadership. And I want to put in a plug for Lizzie's yoga classes. So Lizzie, how do we find your yoga classes? That's a good resource.
So I'm teaching through One Life Yoga. So if you go to onelifeyoga.com, you can find the schedule on there. All of our live streaming classes are just $10. Just note that I'm on LA time, so if anybody's on the East Coast, just might be times. But yeah, I'm teaching 8 classes a week, so I'm on the Zoom almost every day. So would love to have anybody come join us.
Awesome. Maybe my nieces and I will join you.
Oh yeah, please.
That'll be fun. That'd be fun. We'll do a group yoga class. Yeah, so we have lots of resources at our website, and including these wonderful sessions that we're doing every day through the month of April.
Mm-hmm. And you can come as many times as you want. You can come back because the conversation flows a little differently every time. So that's really fun as well. And also, Laurel didn't mention, but she does write great columns for Forbes. And so you can see those on Forbes.com. All about compassion. So we can never get too much of that, that's for sure. So here's the schedule. So as we said tonight, we're talking about creativity. Tomorrow, we're going to move into the vision and commitment discussion. And then Wednesday, we'll talk generally about compassionate leadership and kind of the underpinnings of the Donnellan method overall. And then going through the weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So there's a lot more to be done. And really, you can drop in anytime. We'll be doing this through April 30th. And like I said, I think it's great to come in a couple of times. Even to the same topic. I find them to be very restorative, especially on the East Coast. This time is a great time. It really helps me to kind of close out the day and feel settled and centered by the end of the day. So, all right. Any questions? Does anybody have anything that they'd like to discuss a little bit further? Okay. So the most important thing is to wrap this up with one simple commitment you can complete in the next 24 hours. It can be an intention. It can be something simple that you're going to do to your workspace for the morning. It's going to be that maybe you will actually turn off your computer and put it away so that you can get a better night's sleep. But I have you write it down. Don't just think about it, but actually write it down. One simple thing you can do within the next 24 hours that will make you feel good. It might be a creative thing. I might go play with a mask some more. I think when I do my next...
You're cooking and sewing, you're doing all sorts of new things, right?
I'm doing all kinds of things. Yeah, a friend said, you know, I'm more of a do-it-yourself gal than I think, because I have no choice. But what I'm going to do is next time I do a yoga class at home, I'm going to move my plant next to my little video so that I have something living to look at.
It's a good
Exactly.
From experience.
Yeah, I can see behind you. You're inspiring me. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Lizzie? What's your commitment?
in thinking about just like workspace and stuff, I feel like my environment is good, but I think that I get very cluttered up here. So my commitment is writing a list the night before. I'll usually write a list for myself, and usually sometimes it's the night before, sometimes it's day up, but I do think it's helpful for me to kind of have directions that when I start my day, I kind of know where I'm going right off the bat, rather than waiting for the day to start to write things out. And I kind of lost track. I got a little off that path for a couple days. So I think that tonight I'm going to sit down and kind of list some things out for the next few days.
Great. That's a really good focus one. Laurel.
I am gonna go to the beach tomorrow, and I'm not gonna back up into a Land Rover.
Oh, that's awesome. I am very jealous of that. Great. Very good. Okay, so everybody else, make sure you write something down for what you can do over the next 24 hours. And we're going to end with Lizzie taking us through 3 breaths.
Right. Close your eyes and just find your seat again. So find that nice tall seat, shoulders stacked over your hips, and just take one last moment here to just recenter and reconnect with your breath. So just feel the breath moving in and out of the body, your own breath, before we come to breathe together. So I'll take a deep breath in. And a long breath out. Fully empty the lungs. Again, inhale. And exhale. One more deep breath in. Fill the body up completely once more with this full breath. And then exhale, fully let it go.
Thank you, Lizzie. That was great. Okay. So I just like to end with one word that summarizes how you feel now. We started with some feelings and some emotional states, and let's talk about how we feel now. Laurel.
Connected to you too. I'm very happy to be with you.
I feel recalibrated. Needed that. I feel like I needed to I felt like today was just one of those days where it like started fine, but then it's just, an oscillation of kind of back and forth. And I think that just sitting and being in a circle and with people and connection has just kind of slowed that mind chatter that was kind of going off for the last couple hours.
That's great. That is great. I feel a sense of abundance. Being connected to you both, to have had such a rich hour together is just really making me feel that sense of abundance. So thank you. Thank you for being here. And okay, if there's any questions, we can take them offline.
I'm going to stop the recording now, and thank you both for being here today.